A CEO saw a single dad at a wedding and whispered, "Stop looking at the bride, look at me." The moment she leaned close and whispered, "Stop looking at the bride, look at me," everything inside him froze, because in that single breath, the past he had buried, the pain he had learned to live with, and the future he never thought he deserved, all came crashing back at once. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the unexpected ways life brings people together, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stories like this remind us that even the most broken chapters can lead to something beautiful. He hadn't meant to stare. It wasn't the bride, not really. It was the memory she carried. The way her white dress moved under the soft golden lights, the way laughter echoed around her like a promise of forever, it reminded him of a life he once had, a life that had been taken from him too soon. Ayan stood quietly at the edge of the wedding hall, his small son's hand wrapped tightly around his fingers. The boy, barely 6 years old, leaned against him with the quiet comfort only a child could give. His name was Sami, and he was the only reason Ayan still showed up to places like this, places that felt too full of happiness for someone like him. The hall shimmered with elegance, filled with laughter, music, and the soft clinking of glasses. Everyone seemed to belong, everyone except him. Ayan adjusted his simple suit, one he had worn to too many formal events where he always felt like an outsider. His eyes drifted again toward the bride, not out of desire, but out of remembrance. His wife had looked like that once, radiant, hopeful, alive, but that life had ended in a hospital room that smelled too sterile for something so tragic. He had learned slowly and painfully how to survive after that, not live, just survive. Every day became about routine: wake up, take care of Sami, work long hours, come home exhausted, pretend everything was okay, because for Sami everything had to be okay, but deep inside, Ayan carried a quiet loneliness that no one really saw. Not even the people who thought they knew him. That was when she appeared. At first, he didn't recognize her. She didn't belong to the background like the others. There was something different about her presence, calm, controlled, yet powerful. She wasn't dressed as extravagantly as the bride, but there was a quiet authority in the way she carried herself. She was Zara Malik, a CEO known in the business world for her sharp mind and unshakable confidence. People respected her, some feared her, and many admired her from a distance. But none of that mattered in that moment, because in that moment she wasn't a CEO, she was just a woman watching a man who looked like he had forgotten how to be seen. She noticed the way he held his son, protective yet gentle. She noticed the tiredness in his eyes, the kind that sleep could never fix. And most of all, she noticed the way he looked at the bride, not with longing but with loss. Something about that look stayed with her, and before she even realized what she was doing, she found herself walking toward him. That was when she leaned in and whispered those words. "Stop looking at the bride, look at me." Ayan blinked, startled. His heart skipped in confusion as he turned toward her. For a moment, he didn't know how to respond. People didn't usually talk to him like that, not strangers, not like this. But when he looked at her, really looked, he saw something unexpected, not pity. Not curiosity, understanding. He quickly looked away, unsure of what she wanted, unsure of why his chest suddenly felt tight. Zara didn't move away immediately. She stood there for a second longer, as if giving him space to breathe, before stepping back with a faint, almost knowing smile. That small moment should have ended there, but it didn't, because for the first time in years, Ayan felt something shift. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't overwhelming. It was subtle, but it was real. Over the next hour, their paths crossed again. Not intentionally, not in any obvious way, but enough that their presence began to feel familiar. Zara found herself drawn to Sami, who had the innocent curiosity of a child who still believed the world could be kind. She knelt down to his level, speaking softly, asking him simple questions. And Sami, who was usually shy around strangers, responded with surprising ease. Ayan watched from a distance, unsure of what to make of it. He wasn't used to this. He wasn't used to someone stepping into his quiet, carefully controlled world. Zara wasn't trying to impress him. She wasn't trying to fix him. She wasn't even trying to understand everything. She was just there, and sometimes that's what people need the most. Days turned into weeks after the wedding, and somehow they stayed in touch. It started with a simple conversation, then a message, then another. Nothing rushed, nothing forced. Zara learned about Ayan's struggles, not all at once, but piece by piece. The long nights, the silent grief, the constant pressure of being both mother and father to Sami. And Ayan learned something about Zara too. Behind the polished image of a CEO was a woman who had built her life from nothing. A woman who understood loneliness in a different way. She had success, power, and respect, but very few people who truly saw her. In a strange way, they both filled a space in each other's lives that had been empty for far too long. But healing is never simple. Ayan struggled with guilt. Every time he smiled, every time he felt even a hint of happiness, there was a voice inside him reminding him of what he had lost. It felt wrong to move forward, wrong to feel something new. And Zara saw that. She didn't push him. She didn't demand anything. She simply stayed. There were days when Ayan pulled away, when he went quiet, when the past felt too heavy. And each time Zara gave him space, but never distance, because she understood something he didn't. Moving forward doesn't mean forgetting. It means carrying the past without letting it destroy the future. Slowly, almost invisibly, things began to change. Ayan started laughing again, small laughs at first, then real ones. Sami became brighter, more energetic, sensing the shift in his father. House that once felt silent and heavy began to feel lighter. And one evening, as they sat together watching Sami play, Ayan realized something that both terrified and comforted him. He wasn't just surviving anymore. He was living. The journey wasn't perfect. There were setbacks, moments of doubt, days when the pain came rushing back without warning. But now he wasn't facing it alone.